Okay, how's everybody doing today? It doesn't actually really matter because I can't hear you. It's me, Waifu Elector, and today I'm gonna be talking about Gotham Knights. If you've been watching my videos for a while now, which you probably haven't, no hard feelings, then you may know that I've been keeping up with and providing a fair amount of analysis for this game. But now it's out, I've played it, and I was pretty much right. It may be a little better in some areas than I thought, a little worse in other areas, but when you round it all off and tally everything up, it's more or less exactly what I thought. So let's go ahead and get into the specifics of it. We can start with something a little more on the positive side, and that is that this game isn't as horribly slow and stiff as some of the gameplay trailers made it look. When they originally showed this game off, I said that it looked like the person playing had no idea how to play. Now, after playing the game myself, I'm sure that not only did that person not know how to play the game, but that they are probably very bad at action games, because this game is not as stagnant and stiff as it looked in quite a few gameplay trailers. However, that doesn't mean that this is just some super smooth, fluid, amazing thing. The movement and combat is fine, I guess, it works, but working is pretty much all it can muster up. There's not a lot to the combat, honestly. You just kind of mash the punch button and dodge until you build up a momentum bar so you can do one of your big flash in the pan special attacks, which is fine. It doesn't feel particularly rhythmic or special though. Maybe if the movement was smoother and faster, it would come off as better combat, but who knows. As it stands, the core combat is pretty basic. Like, this idea of mash your button until you get your special, then do your special, that very much feels like the formula of games from yesteryear's original Xbox era, or I feel like a lot of games on the Wii were like that. Either way, it's pretty uninspired combat. I played the entire game with my friend in co-op, but I feel like if I hadn't, then the natural dullness of the combat would have taken its toll a lot faster. Now, they do try to spice things up with loot-based RPG elements. This is an action RPG after all, but again, these design elements are just so uninspired. A lot of what they're doing seems like they're just doing it just because, well, it's what you do, which is not a good base for engaging content. Like, I wouldn't say that you can ignore the RPG gear-based mechanics, but I definitely didn't engage with them any more than I needed to. And most of the time, engagement just meant looking in my inventory, seeing something with bigger numbers, and equipping or crafting it without a second thought. And that seemed to work out until a lot later in the game. And when I eventually did feel like I should delve deeper into the gear mechanics with the stat increasing mod chips and stuff, it wasn't because I'd suffered some horrible defeat, it was just because I was punching enemies for entirely too long before they died. So yeah, these core gameplay mechanics aren't like so bad or poorly executed that they're ruining anything, but they aren't making the game any more fun either. And then there's the story side of things, which honestly makes the gameplay side of things look like innovation at its finest. This story, this narrative, this writing is quite bad. My friend and I, as we were playing the game, are predicting everything that's going to happen in several scenes. We're saying lines before the characters do. We called some parts word for word. We called the ending. We predicted the overall sentiment of basically every major character and every major scene. It's just an embarrassment. And it's not even entertaining. It's just bad and egregiously unoriginal. It's just bad writing. There are very few good ideas, and any good ideas that they do have quickly get botched under the weight of aforementioned bad writing. There's zero good character work, writing, or development. It almost makes me glad that the third dimension that exists in all of the playable characters basically goes untouched for all of them. They don't try to tackle any of the deeper parts of any of these characters' personality, and I'm thankful for it. They probably would have if they could, but they're bad writers, so they probably couldn't recognize where the layering is in regard to these characters, let alone add on to that layering. So yeah, the story's pretty bad. It ends poorly. I do not want to follow up. I think they announced a CW show that is also going to be called Gotham Knights. So this all tracks, we're getting that CW level writing. But yeah, man, to conclude this, I guess I'll say Gotham Knights as a whole is pretty inoffensive. Even its terrible story doesn't really spit in the face of anything. It just does nothing. So the game's largely inoffensive, but just completely unremarkable in any way. And it is drastically eclipsed by the Arkham series. There's not even an argument to be made about that, So nice try, WB Montreal. Just take your money and go. Sometimes people just aren't good at things. And I think WB Montreal just might not be particularly good at making games. This game does nothing to convince me that anyone over there has a creative bone in their body. Something that will probably only become more apparent when Rocksteady's Suicide Squad game comes out next year, and in all likelihood blows Gotham Knights out of the water. I mean, Arkham Knight from 2015, 7 years ago, not only is a much better game than Gotham Knights in both writing and gameplay, but it somehow looks better. Like, imagine a 7-year-old game set in the same fictional city as your brand new game looking better. Like, that's nuts, man. But yeah, anyway, if you've got a buddy or nothing else to play, Gotham Knights can certainly provide a good enough time, a solid 10-20 hours of something to do. But if you're debating, you think you see a cooler game, but you've only got money for one, get whatever the other thing is. You aren't missing out with Gotham Knights. If I had to put a number on it, I'd give it a 5.5. And with that said, I think I'm done now. Tell me what you think if you feel like it. But until next time, I am Waifu Lecter. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai. And why is Batman's voice so bad in Gotham Knights? Here it is, and goodbye.
Physical and mental preparation go hand in hand. Here, we can train the mind to prepare the body, but it requires deep focus. Let go of your pain and pay attention to my voice.